Okay, so wonderful to talk today about healthy eating, yogic, vegan, or vegetarian diet, as well as ways we can perhaps improve our meditation, reduce inflammation in the joints, or help with chronic health issues. And most definitely eating a plant-based, healthy, vegetarian, yogic diet in a certain way that gets the proper nutrients and omitting dead foods and animal foods and products that are not good for the health. And most definitely that can help reduce symptoms perhaps for chronic illness. I'm not a nutritionist, so can't make guarantees, but I know from my experience as a 46, I just took a year off my life, or added one, but as a 46-year-old lifelong vegetarian, I've never eaten fish, chicken, or meat in my life. I've been vegan mostly about 8 years. So I have personal experience. I've also been teaching for a few years for a heart disease reversal program, teaching yoga in conjunction with nutritionists, and watched how people's heart disease and diabetes and ailments and joint and muscle pain could be reduced from yoga, as well as meditation and exercise, and probably most important, the vegan or vegetarian diet. So I'm happy to connect with you, and I'm seeing your comments here since this is a live interactive talk. So thank you for sharing. I'm so happy we've got Brittany from Canada and Peace in Australia, Robert from Indiana, David, you're interested in reducing inflammation, Nick from Australia, wonderful questions. Robert, good questions. How much does it cost to eat healthy? Actually, I'm going to get to all your questions. I might not, if I don't catch it right when you type it, I won't neglect it. We'll get there. So you could definitely eat probably more cost efficient being plant-based vegetarian. Beans, rice, basic vegetables if you have access to. If not, you can grow them in containers in your patio. You can sprout for even less expensive than vegetables, sprouting beans and mung beans and lentils right from your own kitchen. So most definitely it's a myth when people say you need a lot of money to eat expensive vegan fake meats and vegan restaurants. That just came about more recent, but the basic diet is actually more cost efficient if you're eating plants-based, whole foods, beans, rice, pretty simple. So let me first back up for a second. So I was born into family vegetarian because my father learned from the yogis before I was born that the yogic lifestyle included a plant-based vegetarian diet, healthy, not harming animals, not killing animals, not harming our heart or arteries because we're not putting cholesterol from meats in our body. And the yogis wanted to live in harmony with all beings. And they also wanted optimal health so they can meditate. And they wanted to eat a diet that created a more peaceful mind, not ingesting foods that were harmed or suffering animals that were living beings, or dead foods. Instead, live foods, plants with full of prana and nutrients. So it's for health reasons, for ethics, for compassion, not to kill living beings. Now we know it's also the most sustainable for the earth and the planet. I've been teaching yoga 25 years, and I specialize in chair yoga and teaching people with chronic illness. And for a few years taught specifically for a cardiology program for heart disease patients that work with nutritionists to go vegan or vegetarian. So most definitely you can improve your health and reduce inflammation, and people have gotten off medications. There's so many great documentaries, Forks Over Knives, and wonderful documentaries to watch people's transformation. So these are some reasons why the yogis don't eat animals. And not just not eating animals, you have to eat healthy, whole foods, plants, vegetables, beans, if you eat tofu. Okay, so I hope that's just a little introduction. I'm going to guide you through a minute meditation to reflect on our own eating choices, but just wonderful questions you're all asking. And I'm sorry, David, you said you've been sick with COVID for 8 months. And someone else said you developed an autoimmune issue and you want to heal it with healthy lifestyle choices. I most definitely know and watch patients, and myself, I had Lyme disease in my 20s and 30s. A plant-based vegan diet is the best chance, to my opinion, the body has to keep inflammation at bay and reduce symptom. If you're eating meats, fried food, processed food, and dead foods that don't support the health, you have less chance to heal chronic illness. It may have to be in conjunction with other things. It's not always that the diet alone will cure, but it does for some people. Jeanette, you said you've been vegan 8 years and you feel much happier and kinder. Yes, there's no need to kill living beings. And don't take my word for it. You'll have to try it for yourself. Amar says you can't live without cheese. That's because they put some addictive substances in the cheese or something in it that's addictive. But the good news is we now have vegan cheeses. So many. I know here in America, Miyoko's, cashew and coconut, organic-based mozzarella and vegan cheeses. I actually prefer it now because when I stopped eating the dairy cheeses, I found my digestion was better. I wasn't as tired. My meditation improved. I didn't worry that I was killing and harming little baby cows. So it was more, now I prefer it. So Louisa, sorry, my image is freezing. I see it clear on my end. I'm not sure what's going on there. And Kay, you're asking, I'm not a nutritionist, but you're asking, is it healthy to be plant-based and low-carb keto at the same time? Can you get all your required nutrients and minerals? You can definitely get all your nutrients and minerals from a plant-based, vegan, or vegetarian diet. No doubt, I'm living proof. And I test my blood work. There are a supplement B12 that, since I don't eat eggs, I do take, because that I eat some nutritional yeast. It's like a flakes you can put on super salad, and that gives you B12. But if you're not eating eggs, it's recommended for vegans. That's kind of the one supplement you need. But I'm going to note nutritionfacts.org to research for yourself. He's a plant-based doctor. Nutrition, like the word nutrition, facts.org. And Dr. Greger is wonderful. He wrote How Not to Die and How Not to Diet. If you go on that site, it will list every study of every vegetable, every chronic illness, and what food is best for you. And he shows that the reason why the media and such don't promote, for example, like broccoli or different vegetables that have proven to reduce inflammation more than some pharmaceuticals with no side effects and other antioxidants and benefits, is because there's not money in it. It comes down to industry. So you can read all the studies he's done, nutritionfacts.org. And I put it on there in the notes, nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Michael Greger. He's great, and he has all the science and the plant-based research, if you're interested in that, on vegan eating and showing that it's optimal for human health and can reduce specific chronic illness and boost your immune and help autoimmune issues. And he goes through each one specific. So I hope that helps. And before we do our meditation, I'll just answer one more question. I'm sorry if I missed some, but yeah, someone said here the kale. Some people do say they feel sick when they eat kale. Kale is hard to digest for some people, and it's kind of bitter. If you are a raw foodist, if you put it in like a nori roll with other vegetables, that can give it flavor. If I kind of like, the more healthy you eat, the less you need flavoring and additives, because you'll start to get a more like sattvic, they call it in yoga, a pure palate. But you can cook kale. If you eat cooked foods, you don't want to steam it too hard that it takes the nutrients out of it. But if you cook kale, that still might not have a great taste to you. It'll be better than the raw, probably. Raw is pretty rough for some people. But you can mix the raw, by the way, with other lettuces, arugula, radishes, vegetables to give it flavor. But if you cook kale lightly, put some fresh squeezed lemon juice on it, a few hemp seeds or nuts, and then you get some protein and kale. Again, it's often what we cook it with. And a lot of reason why people think they can't stop eating animals, they're so addicted. But often if you cook tofu or tempeh in a sauce that you cooked your meat in, or cook a portobello mushroom make it, instead of a burger with animals that die, that don't want to die, put the portobello mushroom or a tofu or tempeh in the same sauce you cooked the meat in. And then you might realize it wasn't even the animal product, it was the sauce. But we can get all the protein and nutrients we need direct from the source. We don't need to go to the animal, who are often eating grass and plants anyway. Just go right to the source, go to the plants, right? The gorilla, the elephant, the rhino, strongest animals on earth, and they're vegan. They're eating plants. So we don't need it to build muscle, no doubt. And if you're interested in the athletics of it, you can see Game Changers, is a movie on Netflix. And that shows plant-based athletes, wonderful, showing how a lot of them not only do good on vegan diet, they did better when they stopped dairy. So you can check that out. And Jeanette, you eat sourdough and it's okay once in a while. I eat sugar vegan cookies and sometimes even non-vegan cookies sometimes. And you know what? It's okay too. It's kind of on the average, I think. Well, it might not be okay for the animals. For ethics, should not eat any dairy or eggs, but meaning if we're pretty healthy generally, and then you sometimes have a meal off or you're out to eat, it's cooked in heavy sauces or you have some processed, it's really more on average what you eat. The one problem is that we all kind of have addictions to food. So if you start, that one piece of bread and butter and the process, it's so good you want it the next day, the next. So it's kind of like a discipline on what works for you, because some of us tend to, the more junk we eat or foods we don't need, like white flours and carbs that we don't need, the more you're going to want it. But if you stop eating it, you may lose your cravings for it. And that few day transition may be the hardest. But some of us eat out of stress, emotional eating. Some are more balanced in eating habits. Some of us influenced by family, society, media. So there's a lot to this, right? But definitely, I'm not an extremist. If I say I'm going to only eat raw food, vegan, sprouting every day, that may not happen. But if I add a meal a day of sprouting and raw food, salads, fresh veggies as the main base of my meals, then if I go a little off, it's not perfect, that works better for me, if that makes sense. So yeah, okay, so let's just do a brief minute meditation. So let's close our eyes, because we all came on this lecture for different reasons, and I'm glad you're here live with me and adding your great questions to the chat. So let's just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. And just feel what's going on in your body. You can be sitting at your desk, feet on the ground, or cross-legged on a cushion. But just take a few breaths. You may even want to place one hand on the stomach, one on the upper chest, and just sense what's going on in your body. Notice if you're hungry or not hungry or full. What's going on? How's your energy level? We're all in different parts of the world. We have everyone joining here, Australia, America, London. So wherever you're morning, night, I don't know if you just ate or hungry, but just sense what's going on. Just first become mindful. And then check in on your energy level, because what we eat really affects our energy. We don't always realize it. It affects our sleep, our energy. If you want to get up in the morning to meditate, if you have enough energy for exercise, if you're healing from an illness, there's other factors, but just check in. Think about if you don't meditate regularly and want to, are you eating heavy meals at night with processed or dairy foods or something that's causing sluggishness? Just reflect. Have you noticed on nights where you've eaten more plant-based light meals, were you more likely to want to meditate the next morning and sleep better? How did it affect your meditation? So just reflect for your own self, when you're eating healthier, how does that affect your desire to exercise, your energy in exercise, your mind in meditation, or anything else you notice? And then lastly, just brief, you can do this longer on your own, even 20, 30 minutes a day of mindful eating meditations. But for now, just a few minute reflection. The last thing we'll check in ourselves on, take a deep breath, eyes closed, sitting tall, is do you have any goals for your eating? Do you want to eat healthier? Do you want to eat less animals, cause less harm? Do you want to cut some cravings? Do you have any specific goals for you? Maybe eat less out of stress or not emotional eating. Anything you have for you, any goals, and just bring it to your awareness. I know that every meal we eat is a choice to eat healthier and in alignment with not harming animals and ourselves and providing nutrients for the body and mind. Every meal is a choice, and even if we have days off or weeks off or years we're not doing great, it's never too late to start. So start by just adding more vegetables maybe to one meal and the next a little more, and then take away some of the not so good stuff and add more of the good stuff over time. So you can go slow. If you're a lot of addictions with food, some of us have to go just really cut the sugars kind of quickly, so it's up to you. But just honor yourself for where you are now, knowing that we always can improve our eating and our ethics and be more compassionate. So just let's be compassionate with ourselves where we are. If we're not perfect, know we have room to grow, and then We have to take the action steps to sustain the body for longevity and in harmony. So take another breath. If you want to come out of meditation, you can ease out slowly. And again, you can do these mindful eating meditations and goal eating meditations even longer, but I just had you just a few minute taste of it to get it, no pun intended, a taste of the healthy eating meditation. And Bonnie, you said, thank you, Stacie. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge. You're so welcome. I literally am a lifelong vegetarian, mostly vegan for 8 years. So I have the experience that you absolutely have never eaten fish in my life. I have omegas. I take an algae omega supplement now, but I eat avocados, flax, walnuts. You can get it from the food substances if you know how. I've never eaten chicken or meat in my life. You absolutely don't need it for protein. So I definitely speak from experience. And then because of that, I am teaching yoga 25 years. I then watched and worked with heart disease programs and cardiologists and nutritionists, watching how the only way to not have the cholesterol in your body is to stop eating the dairy and the animals. The cholesterol only comes from animal products, dairy and meat. So if we cut that out, you're not getting cholesterol extra building up in the arteries. So you can prevent and reduce risks of many cancers and definitely heart disease. Without a doubt, from every study shows it again and again, from plant-based, vegetarian or vegan eating. So I hope that was helpful, and I appreciate all your comments, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful day, and namaste.